My name is Jordan Berg of Questus. I'm here with Brian David Johnson, Intel's Futurist, and we're going to talk about a couple questions revolving around what does the future hold for technology, for video, and such. Where is the TV experience going? Will we see the end of broadcast TV as we know it today?
I love that question. So will we see the end of broadcast TV today? No. No. And the reason is that people love broadcast TV, right? I mean, you just look at the ratings for the Super Bowl, right? Look at American Idol, right? People love that live TV experience, and that's why it won't go away. I mean, TV doesn't go away because people don't want it to go away. Now, with that said, it is definitely changing, and I think we will continue to see it change, right? We'll continue to see that change happen. And where is TV going? For me, it's going to anything that has a screen. So it's going in your pocket, it's going on the wall, it's going in the back of the cab. I think if it's got a screen, that's where TV is going to go because people love it so much.
I think one of the things we're going to see is as Comcast and the cable networks try to struggle with how to unlock this content, right? And ultimately, I think that's where the big struggle is in the industry, is allowing them to unlock it. We see things like ESPN 360 and others where you really need a cable subscription in order to unlock it. It's interesting to hear that this is ultimately going to go to a multi-screen format where major broadcast type creative is going to be developed, as well as long-term form creative. I'm going to have billions and billions of videos. So with that said, what does this mean for cable companies and advertisers and content creators? I think they're all kind of scratching their heads and figuring out, well, if I have a whole bunch of screens and I've got literally billions and billions hours worth of video, what does it mean for them?
Well, to me, it's all about opportunity for all those people, the content creators, for the cable companies, for the advertisers. It's opportunity because, and they understand this, if you have a screen, regardless if it's your TV screen, if it's your laptop, if it's your television screen, that screen is a connection point with the consumer, right? And that's what all of those people are really good at. They're really good about connecting with people. For me, I see it as those screens, all of those different screens are more points of contact, more points of opportunity to deepen their experience with consumers. Now, granted, it's going to be tough, right? Business models are changing, things are changing, but there's nobody better to do it, right? I mean, that's what advertisers are really good at, is actually connecting with people. So if you have got that screen, I think it's changing a bit and figuring out how do you deepen that experience.
You know, one of the things that brings up is you've got companies like Apple that have developed the tablet, right? And they basically pioneered the market. Now, many would say that the consumer didn't even know they wanted it. So how do advertisers, content developers, and even technology companies like Apple and Intel, how do you guys develop for things that the consumer doesn't even know they want?
Yeah, there's an old adage, they said, that if Henry Ford had asked people what they wanted when he was working on the car, they would have said a faster horse. So you're right. I mean, I think you can talk to people, for sure. And it's always good to get an understanding of where people's heads are, where consumers are thinking. But, you know, the fact of the matter is design, like the design that we do at Intel, the design Apple does, or even the design that advertisers and content creators do, we're professionals, right? This is what we do. This is why we get paid to do it. And so I think we have to sort of have that balance, have an understanding of what people are doing, understanding them in a really deep way, really caring about them, saying, you know, what do they like? What don't they like? You know, getting an understanding of what they're doing, and then pairing that with a business model, pairing that with a technology, and making sure that we're at least enhancing or really even making their lives better by those technologies and those decisions.
You know, you brought up something very interesting. You talked about AI in the beginning. And really what we're talking about here is building AI systems that allow people to sift through tons and tons of data, right? And that's really going to be the future of how people interact with this sort of stuff. So when you think about what that looks like for us, and the thing that I think about is Siri. Siri right now, we basically ask it a question, it gives us an answer. But pretty soon, we're going to ask it a very complex question, and it's going to be able to give us a series of solutions building on one another. What does that look like beyond that? I mean, I'm really intrigued to figure out how does AI really going to play into our lives, and what's it going to look like in 10 years?
So we have AI, we're surrounded by AI now, right? AI lands your planes, you know, AI helps you find a book on Amazon. So, you know, I think we're all kind of comfortable with it. When we say AI, we sort of think it's like sort of this big thing that's out there, but we actually have AI with us all the time. So you're right. I think the big change is that the artificial intelligence will begin to help us. So it will literally know you, right? It will know me. It will know Brian and what I do. And not only just know me, like Siri might know me or somebody else, some other services might know me, but it'll know the different pieces of me, right? What I mean by that is there's, Brian David Johnson, the futurist at Intel, and then there's, Brian, who is a family member, right? And then there's, Brian with my buddies. And so that human beings are incredibly complicated. And right now, AI isn't incredibly complicated. AI, quite honestly, is pretty stupid because it thinks that you are just one person.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is you're not. So a lot of what we're working on, and a lot of things that I'm seeing people work on, is getting artificial intelligence, getting computational power to understand the kind of richness of human life and then to be able to help.
Got it. And do you think that every brand will have its own Siri? I mean, it really seems like brands are coming to life. More touch points than ever, and they're almost becoming living, breathing entities. And we choose our brands the same way we choose our friends. So will every brand have this, this Siri voice, that knows you and knows your preferences?
Wow, that's a really good question. That's a lot of voices, right? That's a lot of Siris.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's possible, meaning it's too much, right? Again, there's too much overload. I do think that people will always err on the side of choice, right? So you can't give people just one thing. You can't say, here is this one Siri or this one device.
Right.
If you do that, somebody's going to want something different. That's the way people are. Again, people are wonderfully complicated, right? And so people like choice. So to answer your question, will everybody have a Siri? Probably not. But will we need a lot of them? Yes. Because people will want to pick and choose which ones they want.
Yep. And lastly, there's a lot of companies out there that are not as big as Intel. Questus is not as big as Intel. Yes, quite small. And there's a lot of companies that are asking themselves, how do we futurecast? So what kind of advice would you give a company, big or small, to help them understand how to build for the future?
Well, number one, always remember it's about people. I think you can never err on the side of trying to make somebody's viewing experience better, their daily experience better, allowing them access to the people they love and the content they love. So I think if you base it in human experience first and foremost, and always realize that ultimately that's what you're trying to deliver, and then you get smart about looking at where technologies are going and looking at where trends are going. And I think people do that. But then you always have to take that and not only apply it to your business, but apply it back to, through your business, through your service, how are you going to make people's lives better? How are you going to solve a problem? Because if you can solve a problem for somebody, you're going to be a success.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate your time.
It was a pleasure. Thanks, man.